Nothing else to worry about. I was like, holy shit. That's the baton that he likely assaulted more victims with, but we know that it was involved in the Emerson case. That's the damn, I mean, for him to, and that's a true sign of a psychopath who can have these contacts with police without flip, because cops are waiting for you to act weird or strange, and you can just be cool, calm as cool as a cucumber, talk to cops, and you could literally he could have had someone stuffed under the front side of that seat in that van, and it wouldn't have bothered him one bit to talk to this cop.
It is really frightening to listen to this cold, calculating murderer speak so calmly and frankly about the atrocities he committed against Meredith and the other victims.
It's disgusting.
On the drive to Florida, because he was also wanted for questioning in the Cheryl Dunlap case. He spoke the entire 5-hour drive, and it was all recorded in the back of this cop car.
Wow.
And, I mean, he's been what is it called? Mirandized.
You got it.
And,
I'm proud of you.
He doesn't have a lawyer with him. He doesn't ask for a
talk.
lawyer. He doesn't care. He just fucking chat. I mean, this guy, he would get on my nerves. I would be like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah, you piece of shit. Shut up. I don't want to hear you anymore.
He also told other inmates that he felt no remorse about what he had done. He was just really sad he'd been caught.
Yeah, of course.
But he admitted that. He's like, I don't fucking care I killed them, but I don't like being in jail.
Yeah, and I probably wonder what happened to his dog.
Now, he takes a plea deal to escape the death penalty in Georgia. He gave up the location of Meredith's body in return for getting a life sentence. But Florida was like, fuck you, Gary Hilton.
We have the body.
In 2011, he was convicted in the murder of Cheryl Dunlap, and he was given the death penalty.
Yeah, they should have took him straight out behind the courthouse and shot him in the head.
In North Carolina, he went to trial in 2012 for the murders of Irene and John Bryant and was given another life sentence. He's racked up a couple life sentences and is also on death row in Florida.
Yeah, you reckon they're going to kill his ass?
They fucking should. An odd side story to the Gary Hilton case before we wrap up. And this is about the First Amendment controversy that swirled around this case.
Yeah, this is really interesting. This is a very wild story.
In 2010, Hustler magazine reporter Fred Rosen, who has published a very extensive, a book basically about Gary Hilton, probably one of the only, there's just a handful of books that are written. I believe this is the only one written specifically about Gary Hilton. He's mentioned in a few other true crime books. But this guy really does a deep dive. Goes and interviews multiple friends, family members. So, I mean, he's really trying to put a story together.
Right.
He requests the Meredith Emerson crime scene photo and autopsy photos and reports as part of a records request with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, but her family asked that this request be denied. A judge issued a temporary order restraining the release of the photographs and information. Quickly, Georgia legislators pass the Meredith Emerson Memorial Privacy Act, which prevents crime scene photos from being released if the victims appear nude, bloodied, with wounds, bruises, in broken states, dismembered, decapitated, yada, yada, yada. And Hustler stated they were going to pursue some legal avenues with this, but nothing really ever came of this.
So it was all about the First Amendment, freedom of information types of things with Hustler. I think a lot of people are thrown. They might not be familiar with Larry Flint and his stance about
First
that.
Amendment rights.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But you kind of schooled me on that element.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck's Hustler got to do with it?
He's an ardent First Amendment rights supporter, and for years has fought censorship.
Well beyond
of this.
Well beyond just a porno mag. Right.
I mean, he's a firm believer in the First Amendment. And it does bring up a good argument. I mean, as a reporter, I understand that crime scene photos are not necessarily a deviant interest.
Right.
That I'm getting really excited to see these. Right? I mean, sometimes journalists need to see what happened in order to report on the story. Crime scene photos often help dispel like killers' confessions. We know serial killers lie. They are psychopaths, sociopaths. They are manipulative. They're going to paint themselves in a good light.
Yes.
They're not going to give you the absolute truth.
No, they're not.
So you really can't base your investigative report on what this person says, right? You need to see everything. That means you need to see the crime scene photos. You need to see the autopsy report. You need to see police notes, case notes, to be able to draw a factual conclusion on what actually happened.
Well, you would think so.
Also, I mean, these photos are public record because the court case is public record.
Well, I think that's the crux of the argument there from the people who saying they should have access. But I mean, you know, it's a fine line. I mean, just from the point of view of the families and things, I understand why you wouldn't want this information out there. It's your loved one, and it's their worst, most gruesome, unimaginable state. But, I mean, that's just how evidence works. That's
well, when laws start restricting and limiting what is accessible, that opens a door for many restrictions on what we call free press in America.
See, that's the thing. That's the slippery slope that you have to even stand up for things that you don't agree with. And that's where you get nowadays. People's like, I don't agree with what that person says. They should be censored online. They should be censored in the media. It don't work like that. It's a cornerstone of what makes America actually great, right? And you have to, I might not agree with what you say or doing, but I will fight till my death for your right to do so, right?
Right. I mean, I'm not the thought police.
Right.
And neither are you.
But
neither is that person. So you can't tell me what I'm allowed to say, what I'm allowed to think.
Right.
I mean, when we go down that road, that's not a good place to be.
As soon as you open that door, the powers that be will seize that, and it's not going to be noble. It's not going to be done for the right reasons, and that's the end of all of it. So you just can't allow it to start for no reason at all. No reason at all.
I understand the victim's family.
Right.
What they went through. I mean, it's terrible, but crime scene photographs and videos are available in almost every case in every state, except for in Georgia, like with this.
Right. And I mean, it's funny when something's this publicized and kind of a hot button issue, how quickly they can move a law or move legislation through a state house, state Senate and House. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
But kids are still getting freaking, abused, and there's so many things that it seems like, it's a slow process, but when they want to, when they're motivated for whatever reason, they get this shit done fast.
A lot of critics of this law and this First Amendment issue also point out that they believe it was such a swift action because Meredith was a pretty attractive white female.
Hey, I think all of us have listened, all us true crime fans aren't going to disagree with that. No matter what you believe, your political leanings or any of that. If you don't see the fact that someone can prey upon women of color, people of color, prostitutes.
The Grim Sleeper.
The Grim
in
Sleeper.
California. He went undetected for decades.
And
murdering black prostitutes.
Underreported.
Drug addicts. And it's because nobody gave a fuck.
And guess what? Look the Grim Sleeper up and see how many damn podcasts and how many damn times someone's covered his story. And his stuff is just as demented and horrible as the top 10 that we talked about. People talk about a million times.
I mean, you hear Ted Bundy constantly, but you rarely hear anything about this guy. And he was fucking crazy.
He was crazy.
A nut story.
Well, he was killing. He would put them in the walls and under the beds. I mean, he just had dead bodies every fucking where, right?
He was doing this creepy shit in front of his son and his daughter, his son's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she felt like his behavior there was some fucked up something going on, and
it's crazy.
Yeah. There's a great documentary about him, and I think we saw it on Amazon Prime or Hulu. I think they maybe both have that, but check it out.
Yeah, and the last podcast on the left has a pretty decent, or actually has a great episode about this very concept of black serial killers, black victims. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, it's not an unknown fact that when the young white woman is abducted or is missing, the media jumps on it and there's so much coverage. But if it's a black female in the same community, if it even gets reported on, you might find like one story, tiny blurb.
Yeah.
2-minute mention maybe.
Wayne Williams, Atlanta child murderer. If that had been another neighborhood, bunch of little white boys, little white girls, a white neighborhood being terrorized, it would have went completely different.
Well, here we are being preachy, but
my
I
gosh.
just pointed out because, you know, hey, they were really swift in getting this law passed. Hey, we're not going to let you see her crime scene photos, but she's also like a super attractive, popular, young white woman from, you know, a good family and college graduate, and oh, she's got her whole life ahead of her kind of thing.
Well, you could even argue that class matters there too.
Well, it does. It's not just a race issue. It's a
just
class
race,
issue.
Because the poor white girls and boys, or you know,
the trailer park girls.
Yeah, it happens down the trailer park just like it does up in the ghetto. I've seen it myself.
I mean, it's true.
It's true.
Anyway, we're on a soapbox. We can't solve all the social issues of the day here on Mountain Murders. But that's been the story of Gary Hilton. And I think of all the murderers that we have covered to date, which, by the way, I think this is like, I think our 82nd episode, Dylan.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Where's the episodes going?
Out there to the people.
It's like time flying.
It is.
And you may notice, I think you'll notice, we have a new sound.
Yeah, we do.
We have...
we had new microphones installed. It only took you a couple of days to figure those out.
Well, we've bought, and this is what patron donations help us do. Upgrade, improve quality, help me do courses to learn how to hook the damn stuff up. And so we hope we sound better, and we're going to continue to try to improve. We thank our patrons, and we thank everyone for listening.
Yeah. Well, I was saying, this is like our, 82nd episode, which is amazing. I never thought we'd come this far, but I think Gary Hilton, he has, like, reached the pinnacle of, like, this guy's a fucking asshole, horrible guy, probably the worst that we've covered yet.
He's a super asshole. There's loads of stuff on YouTube about him. You guys should listen and draw some of your own conclusion, and you'll see. After just about 10 minutes of any of the videos of him talking, you'll be like, this narcissistic asshole. What a piece of shit.
Yeah, he totally is. Someone needs to shank him with that bayonet.
Oh my God, I can't believe we're paying to feed this son of a bitch.
I know. Anyway, we will be back soon with more true crime. We've got some great cases in the coming weeks, and we're very excited to bring those to you guys.
Oh, we're dialing it up a notch.